No one really prepares us for midlife. We hear so much about weight gain, hormone changes, menopause, empty nesting, and no one really talks about the emotional shift and the shift in what our purpose is, and the uncomfortable truths that kind of creep in when everything looks fine from the outside, but internally, our emotions are running wild, basically. And if you are a midlife woman in your 40s or 50s, that's what I wanted to talk about today, because not a lot of people talk about this, these changes, these shifts, and mostly about what our purpose becomes. Truth number one is that your kids growing up is a loss, even though it's a good thing. And no one really prepares you for feeling a loss and feeling happiness at the same time. We are grieving the time that we had when our kids were small, and we are happy and excited that they've developed and evolved, but also there is a countdown where they are going to eventually be leaving the nest. And for many of us who still have, young adults still living in the home, it's a very fine line, because we want them to be independent. We want them to not really need us, but at the same time, we also do want them to need us, because that's been our purpose for so many years. Oh goodness. Number two truth is that your body's going to change no matter what you do, even if you're doing everything right. And I think we just have to accept and realize that what we used to do in our 20s and 30s no longer works. We have to stop bullying our bodies. And, as long as we're on the path of doing what's healthy and right for our bodies, that's really the best that we can do. With so many shifts in our hormones, many of us are on HRT, many of us are on either restricted diet for cholesterol, sugar, all that stuff. And I find too, we're more in tune with our bodies. When something is happening and something changes or is going wrong, we immediately notice. I think we have to realize that we need to give ourselves more grace. We cannot do what we did in our 20s and 30s. It's no longer going to work. You could be doing everything right, eating healthy, getting your sleep, getting your exercise, and it's still, your body is going to resist. Hi, I'm Lori, and welcome to my channel. This is Ever After 50. I'm a full-time working mom. I've worked in public service for 26 years, Canadian family here. I'm married. I have 2 young adults still living in the home. I also run a small business, and I hope if any of this resonates with you, if you're experiencing midlife, that you will subscribe. Truth number 3 is that you are going to question who you are multiple times. And many of us, we were mother, wife, employee, caretaker. And then suddenly when that's gone, you start to question, well, what is your purpose and who are you? And, if you were, a stay-at-home mom and then your kids no longer need you, that's a real identity crisis. I think for most of us, all of this is an identity crisis, because whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a working mom or whatever the case may be, when the kids grow up and they don't need you as much, that is a real shift in your identity. And then as far as, retiring, when you're no longer an employee, then who do you become? And I myself have been struggling with this, because my kids are young adults and they don't need me as much. And I'm on the road to retirement in the next few years. And I question, okay, well, once I retire, a lot of us, our job has become our identity. And that's one thing you don't necessarily want. But during this time, knowing probably the last 5 years that I am eventually going to retire, I have started to make a lot of changes in my life and my priorities. And I've made myself more of a priority. And I've done multiple videos talking about that you need to incorporate other things into your life. I'll share some videos here. And also, be comfortable doing things alone, I think, is the biggest thing, because, maybe your husband's busy, occupied, they have their own hobbies, or they just don't want to do the same things that you want to do. It's just being comfortable going out alone and just not feeling lonely. It's okay to be alone, but if you're lonely, that's something different. You need to build things into your life that prevents you from being lonely, because again, that identity shift is huge. And even before your kids leave the nest, you start to feel it. You start to feel that you're not needed as much. Number 4 is that your career is going to start to feel unfulfilling, because at this point in life, you have realized what's important, and it's not work. Work just becomes a means to maintain your lifestyle and a means to save for retirement. You start to prioritize other things. You're not necessarily going to want to be climbing up the ladder, climbing up the pay scale. You've learned that there's so many more things that are important in spending time with family, friends, adventures. That's what's important, because we start to learn that, time is limited. And when you're getting to this point, I'm 54, you know that there's only so many years going forward. And in most cases, we want to make those years the best that we can. Truth number 5 is that marriage changes in midlife. For the longest time, it was always you, your husband, and the kids. And then as the kids become older and you are spending less time as a family running to different events, going here, going there, there's a lot more time where it's just the two of you. And this can be good, but it can also be pretty bad, especially if you didn't spend a lot of time during your marriage, having special date nights alone, going out just the two of you. And you evolve over time and you do become different people. So I think in midlife, that's a time when you really have to put a lot more attention on your marriage. You may not realize this, in the early stages, but it does happen where you both change and you are not used to spending a lot of time alone together. Truth number 6 is that you will feel lonely, even if you're not alone. Because there's going to be that feeling of loss, that the kids have grown up and the house is quieter, right? You're not running all over the place. You've probably lost maybe some of your social circle because the kids' activities was your social circle. But I think that's a natural part also in midlife, is that feeling and that transition. So be prepared that you may feel lonely, but that's why I can't stress enough. It's so important to add other things into your life. Why it's very important to travel alone. Take the solo trip. Don't stay home, get out there, take the solo trip. So just be prepared that you may start to feel loneliness, but incorporating other things into your life will help with that. And that will go away. The final truth, number 7, which is probably the best one, is that this is finally your season of power. I think with midlife, we get so much clarity. We just have this, we don't give a crap attitude. We're not putting up with anyone's nonsense. We have gained a lot of confidence over the years. Just clarity about what's more important in life. And with that comes power. For so many years, we've worried about what everybody thinks, how we look, what we say, what we do, where we're going. And we just get to that point where we just don't care anymore. And that is the biggest power that we have at this age. If you're an up-and-coming midlifer, I hope that I've shared something here that will prepare you for this stage of life. If you are a midlifer and you're in the throes of this, let me know in the comments that you're here. I'd love to know which of these truths resonated with you the most. I'm here to share whatever information I can to help everyone else that's going through very similar situations. And if you haven't already subscribed, I hope you will, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. And until next time, that's it for today. Bye for now.